Oh, yeah, she is. Is it on? It's on now. Okay. Oh, you are the ones that you are the masters of it. Thank you. As we know that yesterday we started the meeting, then we couldn't finish it. Then Kewu Alderlate has asked us to start at 10. So as I'm saying, thank you for your patience and your understanding. So we're starting now. The MM is gonna join us as we are continuing, as he's still busy with other things. So let's go again and check if is there any apologies for today. All people that are needed to be here are here today. The last place we were at yesterday, it was at item number 6, where we were busy still outlining the annual report.
Sorry, Chair. Can I capture that Councillor Tiffany is also apologizing for today, as same as yesterday?
It's more than apologizing, because I think she even wrote in our councillors group that she has taken another position somewhere. So it's a matter of that she has resigned. She did tell us in the group of the council, but I was thinking that those things need to be done by the speaker, because they are for the council.
Okay.
But just for in case to be placed on record that we are no longer having an apology when it comes to her. It's a matter of that she has resigned. Hence, we were obligated to wait for Elder Lady Undai to come in order we can meet in quorum. Thank you.
Elder lady. Say elder lady.
Elder Lady.
Little lady.
Yeah, she's not an alderman, she's an elder lady.
Call it old lady old.
Elder lady.
So we're on that, we're going to start at IDP regulations. So you can capture for us through, and you are also interchecking Mr. Lotter, as you are also in the finance side. And after this whole thing of just giving us a synopsis how things are looking at in our finances, then we'll go to APAC. So just we said we're gonna only give you 30 minutes when it comes to this. Then after that, we just have to move, because still other ladies still got things that are pressing, just to respect that.
And then,
Okay, over to you.
IDP financial viability indicators, if we just look at cost coverage, I believe the norm is above 1.5 and 2%, to ensure that you can pay your creditors and cover all your operational expenditure. As you can see, we went down from 2020-21 to the previous year to under 1%, which is concerning, and we are working towards fixing that issue. Outstanding services debtors to revenue, it's at a ratio of 6.03, which is also a great concern because it's supposed to be way lower. So the payment ratio will also have an indication on that. Debt coverage is the operational revenue less your grants in order to make sure that you can cover your debt services 1 year. That's on 19.89. It has, I think, improved from the previous year. So we're on the verge there. Then on the borrowing management.
I was very interested to know why our debt recovery has gone down from the previous years. And as you can see, when I was reading the comments of AG, where he was saying impairment, it's 300 and some odd million. Compared to the other year, it was 263 million. If I got it right, it was 293 million the other year. This financial year we're dealing with, it's 327.1 million. For me, key impairment and debt collection is almost ranging in the same way. And now it says the debt coverage. You can see it has, as you can see, it's 19.89.
Can I explain, Madam Chair?
Yes.
So we need to make a distinction between the debtors, right, which is the payment of municipal account, and the debt coverage, being the repayment of borrowing loans. Now, the debt coverage here is you take your operational revenue and you take away the grant. So the own revenue you raise, and this indicator here went up because it says with the own revenue that we raised, we can cover our debt obligations, which is the repayment of the loans 19.89 times. We have more than enough revenue from operations to pay the debt that we incurred, which is the borrowing, the long-term loans.
Okay.
So that is this purpose of this debt coverage ratio.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with the debtors.
Oh, collection. Okay.
Collecting the money of the municipality.
Okay. Good. So it says, Kengoku, it instead the possibilities are higher than it used to be. As it was 15.68 last time, so now it means possibilities.
It went up because revenue went up.
Okay.
And we have less money to repay.
Okay.
So that is why the number of funds that we cover it has gone up.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you for that one. So it is also giving a good image when we go to banks to say that we are working good towards our finances.
I think
And
this one is indicative that there is scope for more borrowing.
okay.
As we discussed in the council meeting on approval of the borrowing, it shows that there is scope to borrow more.
Okay.
Because these ratios are going up all the time, we see that we have more than enough operational income to repay.
Okay. Okay, can continue.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. On the borrowing management, precisely just to add on what the CFO has said, is that the treasury norm for borrowing into operating expenditure is around 45%. So we are at, it decreased from 2021 to 2022 with about 1% due to the fact that we did not take up loans. So we had a 12% repayment. So there's a lot of room to take up more loans. But we also need to be careful the amount that we're going to take up to ensure affordability. Going further, employee-related costs. I know there was a change. The treasury norm has changed a bit to 40%,
That's it.
but it was 40% including council remuneration.
Okay.
This part is only in
Employees.
cost, and the old treasury norm was at 35%. So we are just in line. We actually should be going, the maximum is 35. So we are at the maximum. We would like, the previous year were above the maximum of 38, which also shows that we are trying to.
As the restructuring that we have just done, starting last year, considering the restructuring, was it included according to this?
I don't think it will have had an influence on this figure yet.
So we can expect it to be even better next financial year since there's this restructuring thing.
Just remember, just keep in mind, this percentage, the amount of employee-related cost might not decrease, but it's extra expenditure, which increases the total amount of expenditure.
Okay,
The ratio might come down.
okay,
So it depends on the huge number of factors there as well. And also, the expenditure will include, I don't think in this one, they exclude the grant expenditure. So if you get less grants, that will also have an influence on this figure. But yeah, it's a norm to keep in mind. But we are.
so you are saying if it's 40%, it should include even the council expenditures and everything?
The council.
Because I remember a certain administrator who was coming saying that, yeah, National Treasure allows us to go up to 40% to balloon or to whatever we can do with our employees. Because the argument we were having politically, if, for instance, you feel that this organization cannot be in power, this one can be in power because it will bring more employment opportunities. Where does it stem from? Because we should not do things that are beyond our budget. Then that administrative person was more convincing me to a point that, no, man, if it's the certain organization that is leading, more opportunities will be there, because just now National Treasure was saying everything we can go as far as 40%, and if Bitou this time it's 38%, there's still a space of 2% for us to balloon. Opportunities are still there, no?
But I think the problem in something like that would be not necessarily like widening your structure, not necessarily give you better service delivery.
Oh,
Might less people tend to work harder than more people. In a.
I was like, though, that language is for administrators, not for politicians. It is for administrators, not for politicians. Because remember, people are voting for us in order they can get work, because employment rate is so bad outside. The first thing as a politician, what are you promising to people? What things can you make it better? So this language, you're telling me that people even can be 5 and they can work and do perfect work of people that are 30. Us as politicians, we want those 30 people down in the ground.
I understand that.
Yes,
But
money. I know. The if money, guys, if money, it's another language when it comes to people outside. A matter of thing, as I'm saying that, an administrator came to me for a fact of, let's bring this kind of administration. And my question was based on that, what people are they going to benefit? Because if Bitou is already ballooned up to the range of workers, where is the space? And that came. Now National Treasure says just lift up the space, and there's a space of another 2. Constituencies are going to benefit.
From National Treasury, they say maximum 40%. But most municipalities want to keep it at 30 and hopefully below, just below 30, like 29, 30%. But what Saki says is right. You don't need to get it to 40% because National Seed said that's the maximum seeding. And some municipalities may need 30% of their total income related to staff costs.
I think
Not necessarily for Bitou itself, does it have to be 40%?
Yeah, Chair, I think for the part of National Treasury, not that I want to come from National Treasury, but besides that it's a guideline, it's a good financial practice
Yeah,
to ensure that your
Yeah.
ratios
don't get there.
so, because it's not just that ratios that you need to keep in mind. It's
Financial
it's a
impact.
whole lot of them,
Yeah,
a book full of them that you need to keep in space to.
are they just coming, the workers, and sit and bust there, they become a liability, or is there work for them to do? Honestly, are they really serving us, or it's just we are creating a place for a money scheme for people just to cash in?
That's
at a month? And I understand that one. I'm just bringing this thing here so that for us all, when we speak and go and account to our constituencies, we must always know, because the same officials, when they want a certain power, they come and influence us politicians, and they speak to our constituencies there and influence them that, yeah, you don't know those people they are talking there, it's a crap. Listen to us, this and this can happen. Same. So we need to understand these things very well so that when we go and account to our constituencies, we can be able to say, no, that is a crap, the one who was saying it's like this. That 40%, it includes even council, because it didn't even, that time it didn't even bring a point of 40%, including even council budget.
Yeah, no, that was the change. That was the change that was made by National Treasury, but in that specific change, they said, but the remuneration of council and the employee-related costs should not go over 40% to operating. The excluding.
Okay.
So that's, yeah. But anyway, let's continue on that one. Then we go to the repairs and maintenance, just like I spoke yesterday. The National Treasury norm on expenditure is about 8%, 8 to 10%. We want to aim for the 10% mark, but we are not there yet. And not sure if the years is wrong here, but we are at 6% at the moment. It's up from the previous year. But also that I showed you yesterday is that the budget that was there was not even spent to the full amount. The budget itself was not even at 8%. So that means the little money we do get is not all used up for that purpose. But we need to look at that fact because the infrastructure maintenance is very, very important.
I was exactly to ask
to fail.
I was exactly going to ask that. Does it also include the grant monies? Because with the grants, we understand because they are here for assisting in infrastructure and the ailing, infrastructure. So how can we say we can't get into that 8 to 10% of repairs and maintenance, whereas we've got even grants?
Ma'am, yeah, no, unfortunately, the 8% must come out of the operating expenditure of your council, which is not grant funded.
Okay.
Grant funding for infrastructure will be capital, which comes under your MPAC grant, which is
Conditional grant.
Yeah, that is conditional grants that you get.
Okay.
But that will provide you with the infrastructure.
Okay.
It will not provide you
Operating and maintenance.
the maintenance of it.
Okay.
You will have to, you can't just put it in and then expect it to last for 25 years. You need to do something with it.
And the 8% associated operating maintenance is a guideline comes from National Treasury.
Yeah.
So a lot of municipalities actually don't give anything, 0%, and seem to just pay it and never maintain it and operate it. That gives a portion.
Again, we must work on it when we budget, ne? We must work on that so that we can go with what National Treasury is always, the guidelines that are coming. You know, yesterday when I was reading this emerging risk, that the whole thing, the guidelines, when things are generally changing from this to that, you know, the CREP themes, the preferential payment regulations, all these things are really bringing risk at some stage. Even this whole new legislation themes, people are already at work. They were deployed politically. Now, when we look at it, qualifications wise, they don't qualify. When we have now to say to people should come out from that position and go to a lower level according to their, you know, level of education, those things again, they bring in noise for politicians outside. And people, they find a way of spin doctoring it. They wouldn't say as it is, as the way it's supposed to be. They will spin it as if the politicians that are in, they are here to take off the work of the people and downgrade them, you know. So really, these things are emerging risk.
Sometimes people forget that salary component is actually associated with the operating maintenance budget. So that if you look at the entire package of our operating and maintenance budget, it actually comes close to that 8%.
Okay,
I have to jump in there.
yeah.
Sorry, Chair. And Director Feldman is totally correct with that.
Yeah.
And it would most probably exceed 8%. You take the salary cost of staff members that's involved in maintenance related activities and you add that, it would probably exceed 12 to 14%.
Okay.
We did this calculation at Fear where we were both at a few months ago, and it came to more than 14%. The thing is that in the financial system, there isn't a proper costing system to allocate the cost of time spent by employees. To
Okay.
So most probably when we cost this correctly, we'll exceed 8% by far.
That's a beautiful one again. A beautiful reflection that makes us to understand this thing. Salary to maintenance can also exceed. Okay, you can shoot the.
Okay, then if we look at capital expenditure by asset class, total expenditure of about 78 million. The budget was about 90, which was 74 was for infrastructure, which is related to roads, electricity, water, those things. Community services of community assets was at 5.1 million, and then other assets was at 3.2 million. That's your vehicles, your equipment and things like that, and also computers. Then if we go to the source of funding, of the source of finance, you will see that our funding came mostly out of grants and own funding. Grants, we got 45 million, and own funding we got 33 million. That is also one of the reasons why, like I explained yesterday as well, is why our cash flow was deteriorating at such a rate, because of the own funding of capital. Because what usually should happen with own funding capital is that we should rather use capital for borrowing and things like that for revenue generating assets instead of just for things that does not normally generate revenue. Okay, the capital expenditure. I don't think I can give any more on that one. Funding sources is fine. Okay, the 5 largest projects that we spend on. The 5 largest projects, it looks like it was basically all in Ebenezer, and except for the rehabilitation of the landfill site. Then on the access road for Ebenezer, there was I think that was a budget of 13 million. I believe that was rolled over to the new year. They could not do that one. Then on the bulk infrastructure for electricity and I think water, they spent about 8.7 million on that one. Basically the full budget. And then on the new roads also, for the Ebenezer, they spent 11.1 million. That's a bit over the amount. If we go to the cash flow management side of it, we will also see there where the biggest chunk of money is coming from. Our main sources of income is rates and service charges, and then also our grants. The interest has been deteriorating because we did not have funds to invest to ensure that we get interest on that. Payments, suppliers and employees. The finance charges has been going down because of those no loans that was taken up. And then the transfers and grants is the subsidies that council gives to the needy. Then cash flow from investing, that is where your investment on capital and taking selling your assets that must be disposed of. The only amount that we got there was the capital assets, which was about 78 million that we spent, that one. And then obviously on the investing, on the financing side, it's the repayment of the borrowing of about 22. As you can see, we did not take up any new loans. So our, as you can see there, the cash and cash equivalents at the end of the financial year, of the previous financial year, was 73 million. 23, yeah. 73 million, and then it decreased to 48 million. It's a decrease of around 25 million. And if you think back, the funding out of own funds was 33 million. So that was one of the major contributors of the deterioration of the capital spending there, of why our funds the cash flow went down this drastically. Okay, the gross outstanding debtors per service. We'll see that the outstanding debtors increase on the property rates, which is with, from 48 to 52. Our electricity and water, our trading services, decreased a bit with 6.3 million. And our sanitation and refuse went up with 13 million. So in average, our on the consumer debtors, we basically our increased with about 10 million the outstanding debtors. And remember that is after your debt write-offs. That is after that was done. Yeah, I can just, okay, that is the graph. Okay, the age analysis of your debtors, the next page, total debtors, you will also find that usually in the sense of cash, we use the 30 days to 60 days as cash. That can be included as cash. And anything above that, we seen of usually impaired. So if we see the less than 30 days, it increased with 38 million during the year. So that's the 30 to 60 days decreased from 43 to 13. And then the 60 to 90 days, we'll also find that the 30 to 90 days decreased, but the above 90 days increased with 45 million. So anything above 60 days basically increased with an amount with around 39 million overall. So so then if we look at that, our debtors increased with 47 million. Like I also said, that is after debt write-offs.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we move on, cost containment policy. Okay, so if we look at the cost containment policy, that is just an indication. I think it's on page number, the table on that graph, on page number 2 to 5. We will see that we have a saving of around 15 million on the use of consultants. Vehicles used for political office bearers, we did not have a saving on that one. Travel subsistence, we had a saving of 167,000 of million. Yeah, 167,000. This figure is wrong, but anyway. Basic accommodation, we did not have a saving. Events, we had a saving of 1.6 million. Communication, we had a saving of 2.5 million. I'm not necessarily sure if the communication saving was necessarily a good thing. Might just have meant that we did not communicate with the public. And then on the other related expenditures, we had a saving of 13.7 million, which brings us to a total of 33.2 million in savings due to cost containment.
Please, Zach, ones that are in brackets, it means we didn't save on that one.
We didn't save.
We overspend it. And we can see vehicles used for political office bearers. What makes us to have not to save, whereas we don't even have cars, the office bearers? What is the agreement with the cars that the vehicles with political office bearers things?
Madam Chair, if I may help, I think they were in that particular financial year, there were vehicles rented for political office bearers. I think the executive mayor had a vehicle, deputy, the acting mayor had one, and we need 2 extra vehicles for his security staff. Some of them had.
I think that Mr. Allen points out that I think that was prior November.
Okay,
Um,
okay, so we had that.
Yeah, so that is, remember, we are reporting on the whole financial year. Yeah.
So this whole thing that I referred back, Mr. Crouch, maybe this 192 million is also the cause of those referred backs of the hiring of the guards that we have been always asking.
Correct, Madam Chair. Part of your reports,
Yeah,
don't need to be delegated.
okay,
If we then go to the 26, borrowing and investments, like we say there, the reducing balance of long-term loans, and the finance leases. Is around 106 million, for this financial year. The investment of 2022 was 9.8 million, but that was a seeded investment. Councillor, I explained to you that seeded investments, I think, started out as 1.3 million and ended up, it lapsed this financial year. It was around 10.2 million that we got out. But I think if we take up a new loan, the 35 that we need to do, my suggestion will also be to take, not necessarily, yeah, if the bank wants to see it, otherwise we make an investment for the same period as that the loan is going to have, and that money is there for future purposes, for the future capital replacement of the asset that we're going to borrow money for now.
Mr. Lord, why you couldn't explain to the council that we did have money that was, okay, did you speak again on the council that day when we were talking about this loan thingy? Did you speak? Were you allowed to speak on the council?
Yes, I think I did, and I did that previously as well. With that item that said on the loan, there was a 15 pages response and all the questions that were raised. And I think the conclusion we made is that it was a good decision of council. And it is in the best interest with regard to the delivery of the services, as well as looking into the current financial situation. It's the best option to fund those things. Because if you see this way, you will see the diminishing of the cash. And if all of that cash, and we just put it into the project instead of borrowing, then we have really nothing. Which means that it will be extremely difficult to have a proper operating platform and then it's good for the next thing. It is that balancing of the funding sources which is very important. So next year when you get to this, that investments will be.
Yeah, and it will show a better thing. Okay.
I hope it will be higher. Okay, the next one is on page number 227, made by the municipality. There's a list of all the beneficiary and organizations that did receive. Not to list of mention any of them. They received an amount of 878,000 rand. So that is it. The rest is the general audit findings, I think, yeah. So, thank you, ma'am.
I think we did get that one. I think there was something that I wanted to ask. It was from, okay, let's allow APAC. Is there anything else you want to talk about on financials before we go to APAC? Our internal auditor?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. Go down.
Or something just want to advise us as MPAC as things that we must put more footing on, or the council must put more footing on? I understand you, even yesterday you raised that we must look at the library thing because it is an unfunded kind of a service and it costs us much. I think we must also emphasize to debt collection that we must do it. Is there something you can tell us, systems that you are putting in order our debt collection turnaround time and improvement can be there? Is there something you can tell us that you are working on there? On the revenue collection side?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think if you recall correctly in the last item served at the portfolio committees, I think at Bitou as well, there was in the finance section in the revenue reports a strategy and credit control communicated to say, but this is the steps that we will take on a monthly basis to ensure that we can collect better. We are in the final stages of again awarding a contract for debt collection.
Okay.
But that is not the total extent of it. It is a combination of factors that must contribute to the improvement of the revenue. Firstly, through the revenue enhancement program that was approved, we got money for the revenue enhancement process through the province, 500,000. And they already indicated for the next financial year, we'll get another 500,000 from them for that. That is to ensure that everyone is billed accurately and correctly according to their usage, the volumes that they use with regards to refuse, and the consumption in terms of water and electricity. Also, the fixed charges, we will plot this on a geographical information system to ensure that we can, with a bird's eye view, see if a property has a water connection and an electricity connection, but it doesn't have a refuse removal. It means that there's an error in the system and we have to correct it. So those are the steps that we are going to take to ensure that we have complete revenue. The completeness of it. Because it is important that everyone is charged according to their use and their volumes. And we have picked up through a simple exercise that certain properties are not paid. I've communicated in brief with the HOD responsible for refuse removal, and we have had some discussions with the engineering department, and it is obvious that there are errors in the billing that require us to correct that portion. Then send out the bill. So we're looking at increasing the revenue without you and I having to pay additional tariffs.
Yeah.
Of course, we need to capture those that are not paying. And then those that are paying, make sure that we collect it in time. If we leave the debt for 3 years, we'll never get it. That's why we have to react every month on the credit contract. Also, other factors that we need to is you know the story about the smart metering and the water management devices. Those that use excessive over and above the subsidy, we have to restrict them. And it is not to be punitive. It is a normal thing that all municipalities do. It's prescribed by the National Treasury. They instruct us every year to do that. People are using excessively over and above subsidies, especially indigent, some economical consumers, we have to restrict. We have to assist them not to run up huge debts. Some of the write-offs we do in debt exceed 100,000. Because people in ESCOM distribution areas, we have no means and measures to get them to pay their account. Simply cannot plug the sewage and stop collecting the refuse. It would have been lovely to do that, but then there's other problems that you will cause. So we need to ensure that they use within the allocation of the free services and that they're not paying for anything in excess, even if it means restricting and taking other measures to collect. We know people have money and are unwilling to pay. Looking at the percentages in the different areas, and that's also in the finance report, is to give you an indication that it takes from between 1.5 months in certain areas to get the money to 4 years in other areas to get the money. Those 4-year areas are those which we do not supply electricity. The electricity as a means of collecting other debt will always assist us. There is a lot of case law on that, so the municipality makes use of the principle of a consolidated account. So you cannot choose which service you pay. We will collect from you what you have used for all the services through whatever means necessary to do that. So yes, there are many issues that we are attending to simultaneously to improve the revenue collection and make sure that the debtors balances don't grow anymore.
But if it's in an ESCOM area, supply area, it makes it very difficult for us to take money off
On the
a
electricity.
meter and then make them subsidised for their water and sewage and other service charges. That's what the CFO is saying. So ESCOM supply area, we don't have that step to use. So that you are not paying for your water, you're not paying for your roads, you're not paying for your sewer, therefore we're actually not going to supply you full credits on your electricity.
I wanted to know, because this whole thing of ESCOM areas versus the places that are supplied by municipality, by from municipality side, it has been a long cry from communities that others seemingly are being purified, whilst others are in a holiday mode. What is it that we're supposed to do to rectify this so that all communities can be in the same system that is beneficial to the same municipality? Is there a way that can be changed? These whole areas that are under ESCOM, should we appeal to ESCOM?
It's a very difficult one because the Electricity Act sometimes reigns supreme in giving ESCOM certain authorities of distribution in certain areas. Now ESCOM knows that a big part of their business is they don't want to give it away to municipalities. The process through SALGA the last 7 years has not given us any progress on getting ESCOM in those areas to assist us in collecting. So ESCOM is unwilling to do that. They say on the one hand, debt collection on behalf of municipalities is in terms of the Electricity Act, not their mandate. So they will not assist us. The SALGA, and I don't know who else was really to take ESCOM to court to get a judgment to force them to do that, but there is no progress on that yet. The only thing we can do in those ESCOM areas is really rely on other means. And the next mean that we have is restricting water, but not restricting it in the sense that you don't have access. We give the free access that everyone is entitled to in terms of the Constitution. We subsidize fully. You must remember that in the indigent subsidy program, we do subsidize refuse and sewer and water and electricity. And if your revenue, your income is lower than a certain amount, we also give you a subsidy on rates. So all we are asking those customers is pay the little remainder on the account. If you use more than 6,000 litres of water, pay for that. If we have to use a water management device to get you to pay that, then we need to do that. It is obviously, through all the financial reports over the last 10 years, I was here a long time ago as well, and for that 10 years, it has always been an issue in those areas. It has not changed at all.
So you mean to say it could also be advisable that when we talk about this water meter thingies, we should be more even advising the council to put it first on those areas that are under ESCOM, so that it can also contribute to the service charges.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the level of service we give in those areas are not unequal to what we give anywhere else. We give a refuse removal, we give a sewer service, we do provide water services. And the rest of the general services like the libraries, etc., and the parks, open spaces, sports fields, they have access to all those amenities. But the revenue coming from those areas differs between 13 and 27%.
Sure. Okay, take note of that. Two,
Sorry, before you move on, just to give clarity to what the CFO is saying. So constitution mandate prevents us from stopping water.
that's what he was
So
saying.
that's what he's saying. However, we can put a restrictor on the line to throttle the flow,
Yeah,
which should help encourage the person that's been restricted to pay the bill that we can.
two.
The only way we can actually ensure that customers pay for this bill.
That we have started last year to do public participation whilst the Franklin was here. We still need to take it to people to have an understanding that it's needed, especially with those areas that we are not equal when it comes to. They are under ESCOM, the others are under municipality. Yes, Mr. Fritz?
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity to help the municipality save, is if we encourage recycling and take more material out of the waste cycle. And we should actually maybe be paying the recyclers more to take more out so that we don't have the high cost of taking everything to Mossel Bay. I think that would go a long way, as well as complying with the environmental and all these other policies, is if we can reduce the load. And I think I've seen other municipalities are reducing the cycle. So instead of doing every week, we do every fortnight instead in some of the areas.
Or
Encourage people to recycle.
recycle, yes, that's another plan.
And I put out not even a quarter black bag every week because I recycle completely everything. So, and everyone else should be encouraged to do that. And I think we need to maybe spend a bit more money on recycling to reduce our other overheads in waste collection. Thank you.
It come to our committee, portfolio committee, that more work is going to be done in education systems for schools and everything else for households to do better in house recycling, waste management, and also the NGOs and NPOs to partner with the municipality to ensure that that is given more attention. Yes, Madam.
If I could, we have the MISA project running at the moment, and part of that project is MISA is employing what they're calling peer educators.
Yeah.
The purpose of these peer educators is to do exactly that. They have information pamphlets together with a yellow recycling bag, so they haven't started yet, but the purpose is for them. They were supposed to start yesterday, to go from door to door with information packages on how to recycle, what you can recycle, and to hand out the yellow recycle bags to households. The target areas are our previously disadvantaged areas, mainly focusing on our township areas to get them on board with the purpose of recycling. Our current recycling tender is coming to an end, and it gives us an opportunity now to look into waste minimization. That's the focus, and not necessarily to recycle, but to minimize the amount of waste that we are transporting to the landfill site, which includes our bulky waste, which includes our green waste, and to have these buybacks. So we have had discussions a lot, not a lot, but myself, and during the season when myself and Director Felton were here, especially on that.
Yeah.
To see how we can structure the new tender to do all of those things. And you would recall
Different areas.
in not only in different areas, but to look at the facility, the waste facility now, how we can utilize the existing space that we have. Say, for example, I know Stellenbosch, they do their recycling tenderer or their recycling contractor is on site, and they actually paid for the recycling center where they are taking all of these recyclables. Also to partner with, it's not necessarily NPOs, but a lot of locals have come. I've had at least 3 or 4 people asking if they can't come to the transfer station to look for cans, because they are selling these cans to someone in PE. So they are wanting to know if they can come in and collect the cans. We've also structured on the new approved organogram, spotters are on it specifically because even on the photographs, you will see the amount of recyclable waste that's stockpiling on the landfill site. So waste minimization is okay. Firstly, enhancement is slightly on top of the waste minimization because those two at some point in time need to catch up with each other.
Mr. Felton,
In my 2 cents.
please give your 2 cents.
So if you do go Dr. Google, look at 20 names of waste reduction, waste recycling, waste minimization, material recovery facilities, which you remove, everything sounds fantastic, David. But what we forget, we in Africa, we in South Africa, we've got a different population. We've got a population that consists of most people have no income, absolutely nothing. So when you do your take out your bag from the house and you put it on the curb, when we're using the recycling happens, you think it's at the landfill site, at the transfer station, it's happening on your curb, because those very same people don't get the same salary as you get. They take out the glass, they take out the metal, they take out the cardboard. So we do desktop studies. I get very excited over this. I was very fortunate to go to Sweden, by the way. I spent 6 months there doing I integrated waste management plan for the metro, and it was adopted by so yes, nice concepts, but reality check in South Africa, we got recycling, and we think it's our recycling of our total waste is cut for 4 to 8%, which is what a European would think. But actually, it's approximately 80 to 90%, David, if you take into account the recycling that happens on the curbside. So we do enormous amount of recycling only because people don't have good income, and they're willing to take their can, take their glass, and get 10 rand for the day. So we cannot say, Madam Chair, with all due respect, we do not recycle in South Africa. And Melanie is right. Our biggest issue is bulky waste, which is garden waste. We should be chipping it. We should be mixing it with the product. Yeah, but besides the bulk, we need
It's a grinder.
Yeah,
A
we
proper
actually
grinder.
need more than bulky waste. We need effluent from a treatment works, which adds it, becomes compost. That is what we've got to do in South Africa. So when people say, "Yeah, I've got 3 recycling bins in my kitchen," some people don't think a little bit further. Those recycling bins, we don't have 3 different waste compactors. We don't have a compactor with 3 different compartments. Those recycling bins, that the recycling happens in the kitchen. All that waste goes into one compactor, it gets combined, takes to one landfill site, and all that happens is you do your recycling in your home, but it gets wasted. That's the reality. However, I'm carrying on for a bit, I don't condone the fact that we go through the whole process and we do our recycling. But when you look at the chain in the process, goes into one compactor, goes to one landfill site, gets covered by inert material and stays there for however long until it starts being composed.
Oh, okay.
My little education.
I think we need to make what can we call it?
Bees,
e-waste,
e-waste in Bitou.
in Bitou, where we put our 2 cents and 1 cent in, and at the same time, we work on it so that we can assist the results. I think I buy it very much, this one of saying, even we should not condone a weekly collection if we know how to reduce and minimize it at all. Maybe we go on fortnightly so that we can save, as long as our people are educated enough to know. Maybe that can assist them.
By law, you have to collect your waste once a week if it's got, if it's the ability to compose, because it's a health hazard.
Yeah.
But it's a law, you've got to collect your waste once a week. You've got to cover it that very same day in a landfill site with 150 millimeter inert material. So everything is regulated. We cannot then decide for ourselves, okay, let's just collect once a week. So if it's biodegradable, we've got to collect it weekly. It's the law.
Yes, alternate.
Just to add also what Vijay says, Municipal is on process whereby they're also going to do the project in the community for years, and then to pay people 10 rand.
That's what he's talking about.
That's what he's talking about. The Municipal is on process on that.
Yeah.
It's they approved it. And also they also challenged that they've been raised by Selden. I've got a house, and then I've got 5 or 6 dwellers at the back of my house. I've got the bin whereby I'm using for myself. And then who's now got a problem at the back? Where do they dump their rubbish at night time? So even therefore, when the municipality now gives the black bags, they give it to me. They don't give it to them. Yeah. So we need to sort the owner of the house, because those guys are paying rent to the owner, and the owner is not looking after them. So it means that they are the ones now are creating this problem. The last one, Madam Chair, I did hear about the report and the risk or whatever, and the money from the library that was overspent, 6, whatever. I would love maybe through to you, to the director, if maybe we can get a report as an impact, and then we see where break down whatever, so that at least we can, because we are seeing this, so it means that I don't want to.
Councillor Ndai, sorry, Chair, through you.
Yes.
It's not overspent. It is what we are contributing as own funding towards libraries expenditure. So yes, overspent on what the grant is.
Yes.
So we have just had a discussion now, looking at this year's budget. We already know that provincial libraries is going to give us 12 million, but our expenditure on employee-related costs only is about 40.
It's currently about 14 million.
So already we are short in this financial year, 2 million only on the staff cost for libraries. It's not even the other operational expenditure.
So how we going
So we might be short about around 16 to 17 million.
We might be, 16 to 17 million on libraries, over and above the grant. So that's it. It's not an over expenditure.
Okay, it's yes, sorry.
Short.
They're short. Then they
Remember, libraries is an unfunded mandate. Because libraries is not a municipal function, similar with housing. It is a provincial government function. Now they give us the grant, but we have signed this implementation protocol which says, yes, here's your business plan, but whatever is short, you will have to top it up. We just need to give you this. So we will need to see from what my bestie here at the back has.
if we don't have that, because now it goes back now from me at the back.
Yeah.
I know from my office I've got 8 million for the staff, but I've got more staff that will cost more than whatever. How did we get there? But that's
Okay, that's
you understand?
that's a very interesting question, but yes, Councillor, I think, and that's what we were discussing. At the end of the day, what is going to have to happen is the when we go through the funding of operations now for this financial year, we are going to have to look what positions at libraries we will be able to continue to fund. It might be that we need to make some of the positions redundant and move the staff somewhere else. But those are the discussions that we're going to have that's coming.
Okay.
Because we don't, I know the CFO was going to tell me as the director responsible, yeah, I'm not going to give you 16 million.
Yes.
Not for an unfunded mandate.
Yes.
Not when we don't even have money for emergency housing.
That's where I'm going.
That's the stuff. When we don't have money to plug the potholes, I can't give you 16 million, sorry. When we don't have money to cut the grass, prune the trees, I can't give you 16 million.
That's my point. We might take the money that we suppose as the municipality to use it for the service delivery. Because now we are sitting with this problem, we have to top up, and then it will look like now the.
You follow,
I
not an over expenditure.
Yeah, what Ananda is saying, these things that are reflecting, and sometimes it was just something that was done because of politically pleasing and all that. As I'm saying that the mandate of politicians tends to be different to the mandate of administration. And the plight that us as politicians we see outside, it seems to be different from the plight of administrators, that they have to go according to the mandate or whatever.
Not only sorry, Councillor Ndai and Chairperson, not only that, we have to work and implement your revenue enhancement schedule, which this council has adopted and said to us as the directors, you need to assist us to recover financially. And these are some of the things it's going to start popping out.
I think those things, they need their day on its own, something like Indaba. How do we deal with these things? Because I was also shocked when Nuzek was saying, we'll have to cut. For me to cut, I know what it means. It's not just a word, we just have to cut. It is bringing a hell of a crisis outside there. And so it's not just a word, it gives you goosebumps. It makes you to fear or to want to become worrisome, because it goes with the disappointment of a certain household, whatever way. So at some stage, we need to sit down and we interrogate these things, and we are being advised. Maybe sometimes at the council, it's not enough. Maybe even in portfolio committees, it's not enough. It is a prerogative of the administrators to make sure that, do you understand this predicament here now? How are we holding hands together for this predicament? Maybe I'm always coming from an environmental hustling in NPOs and NGOs that you go and hustle. I always believe that it is the municipality supposed to operate in that form of knowing. Go and find money. Go and find money. We can't cut anything anymore. Go and find money. Who's supposed to do fundraising and whatever for this entity? But maybe even that, maybe I'm.
And then end of the day, if there's a cut from the libraries, they're going to blame the councillor, but they don't understand.
Yeah.
Where it's coming from. And the staff will also say that politicians are cutting, but they don't understand the bigger picture where it's coming from. I've got 2 rand. I know what must I do with 2 rand. I've been given by 2 rand by the CFO to use this 2 rand, but why I use 10 rand? And then end of the day, that's 8 rand, I'm going to be short of 8 rand, and that 8 rand must come where? And at the end of the day, when we ask all these questions at impact, it seems like we are.
Say, if I could just make this example again. You're saying you have 2 rand.
Yes.
We've all been to the shop, and then you get to the till and you have to put it back.
Exactly.
This is the same scenario. You can't buy 10 rands worth of stuff at Checkers and you have 2 rand in your pocket. They're going to tell you to put the other stuff back.
I am sorry, and your director.
And I keep now, I don't, Chair, I'm just saying, that's a good example, Chair, because now I'm going to use to run the show. And then that Tila is going to say to me, no, and do you think I'm going to keep borrowing to my neighbor that is at the back? That I'm knowing him is staying in Kwano? Although I've been budgeted by 2 rand. You understand? And now it land up back to us because the money that I've been given, it's not for the municipality, it's from province. And now I have to borrow here while we are suffering here.
I understand.
That was my 2 cents.
Say libraries, Chair.
It's not only that.
Also human settlement.
Human settlement also is the same thing.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere, by the way.
Even for securities, people have been employed under this outsourcing or whatever. But the minute when we are starting to say, let's look at reality, things are being cut. The word cut gives me nerves. It's a matter of that, it's a reality, guys. The word cut, whether we want to do things, it's not just something we say strategically. Mr. Lothar must come and say, we need to cut there. Because financially, he will lead us to those things.
In a secure state.
And then when it cuts, you end up as councillors with sitting with one bum, or you are sleeping with one eye. Cutting.
Because of
don't understand the community. And when we
and please, and please, they must nurse this whole thing and ensure that it is understandable. And I always say there's a bigger picture. Maybe we lack communication at some stage. Our communication department must ensure that every week there must be something that goes out to the communities. This is what has been picked up in the council. This is the way of rectifying the things. This municipality, it's got an honest, got a responsibility, Mr. Crouch, the communication department, every time to alert our communities, here's a red light coming. It was done due to certain council resolutions that was taken years ago that was saying this and this and this. That resolution came and end up to this kind of results. What suppose are we to do? And we allow people to partake. Our Facebook should be active to tell and inform our people with the things that are red lights of this council, so that we can even hear the view from the public, how it affects them, so that in that way we allow Ezindo to be, a debate. As long people they know, once they talk about it, they will know. And when the resolutions are taken, it will be far better. Our communication must work hard, not assuming when we communicate them in the council, it is done and dusted. There's still more than millions of people outside there. They need to know why these things happen, why now we have to take this thing, why now the rectification must happen like this. The cut should not just something comes. Otherwise, we'll see the township burning, and people, they've got a culture of spinning everything to their advantage. So if we need not to get spinning, we need to quickly inform people with the situations that we're facing in this council at this time. Otherwise, our council will be unpopular, and I refuse to be part of being unpopular for the decisions that were taken way back. And you get disappointed when it says, because when you are saying that as unfunded mandate as it is, but this council years ago took a decision of saying those people will be taken permanent under our custody with our budget. But today, everything has been ballooned, is this? And when you start to cut, people will cry. I know, with even the security issues are coming. How the securities was done, how the contracts were set up, by the certain project managers were there at that time, why it was done like that. But these things are coming and blowing into our faces. This takes me to the point of, I was interested in a follow-up question, Mr. Lothar, that you said, there's a tender that is going out for addressing this thing of debt collection and everything. My interest was that tender set up in such a way that protects this municipality. My reason is, we saw a tender, a company that was here was supposed to cut electricity. Immediately, that we saw, man, these people are not bringing anything in, instead they are taking out. Even in the case of fines, traffic fines, where people are paid for, okay, collecting, but the money didn't come in, but they can show that we did do this step and step and step. At some stage when I was staying at 35 Robert, the electricity guys will come and they will take a photo and show that they were here. If they've cut or not cut, but they have to show that they were at 35 Robert. Maybe they are claiming for even just for them the presence of being in that yard. Whether they didn't get somebody to cut, the gates were locked, or the big dogs were, they were in danger, they left. But the fact of the matter, they did take a photo showing that they were there. So maybe they are being paid for them just to be in the place, instead of them being paid that they really brought the revenue. So it is also the type of contracts that we're doing. They are putting us in a situation where instead of solving in debt collection, instead we are becoming indebted. I don't know whether I'm using the right word. We become indebted to the same service providers. This is the same way. So I'm interested to know, how does it look, the contract? Does it ensure that these people are going to do the mandate and make us to be better than where we were before? Before they collect their 5% or their 10%, and which percent were they given after they've collected? How much, which percent are they getting? So it's those kind of things that I'm interested to know. What kind of a contract are we having? Is it protecting us? Oh.
Yes, it's early to say that now, Madam Chair, because it's not been adjudicated yet or evaluated finally. But we did make sure in the specifications that we are protected.
Okay.
We're not going to pay out money without receiving benefit.
Okay.
That is the basis of it. We cannot pay a contractor for work done or tried to do unless we get a positive result.
The tender is performance-based.
Oh, not on a trial performance, but strictly on a performance results. Okay.
Not like the previous one where the performance was only 1% because it was because that's why it was terminated, the previous one, because there was no progress and no benefit to come us. So we are not going to do the same, make the same mistakes again.
Okay. Thank you for that one. It was my question to understand that. Thank you, Mr. Friedman, with your recycling ideas, and you steer us to know that we still need to talk about waste management and the problems that are happening there. And even today, as I'm coming from the farm passing, you can see the waste like this. So what I mean, we still have to assist each other, work together, tossing ideas, so that we should not only leave it with that it's a community service department.
Go to Sweden.
To do what? To go and to study?
To study.
The Swedish National Development Agency paid me for 6 months.
I've only been to Durban.
No other things, we can just get it on desktop and Sweden and get them, because it's a blueprint of the other countries. I always say their intellectual property are free to send it to us, without even us to go and view and be on holiday on a desktop.
I didn't need anything out of the European side. I was just explaining today that it works nicely in Germany, but a lot of the stuff won't work in Africa.
That's another thing.
So, you've got a different mindset, different country, different...
First world countries versus third world or developing countries.
You need to grown up enough and mature enough to accept it itself.
Yeah.
You cannot implement something that works in another country. You cannot implement it here.
I can remember that those words once I was in the office.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately that's very strange.
There's some good case studies in South Africa. Marion Hill in Durban. It's a nature reserve, but it's a recycling and dumping plant. So there are some good case studies in South Africa where recycling is being done very well.
Okay. No, it's fine. Can we pass from this part of making sure that our debt collection is happening well? Just to ask, Mr. Lott, just to ask, the granting aid thing, I know it always become a noise in all ratepayers for that matter. Ne? I know even in one of our public comments in ratepaying, they did touch on these things. Even from the people from on that side of N2, this whole thing of granted aid brings the envy or jealousy of how did that one get? Why didn't I get? The others are getting 10, the others are getting 20, the others are getting 160. The last time as MPAC, we were saying there should be a policy that governs this. Because even I could remember, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Crouch, in section 106, these things also, they did reflect. So again, here we are, there are they granting aid and whatever else. Still, you will ask yourself, how could another one get 130, the other one who saw up, maybe the one we know and we can see and testify that they are doing hard work of looking after elder. I'm just making an example. Why are they getting only 5,000? Why a certain one football club will get only, let's say, 2,000 versus the other one? How did it get? So this thing, I just want you to take us also in confidence that did we work towards this whole thing of managing or having policies with the political offices in handling granting aid?
I heard what you're saying, then, but you can also answer. I remember even on impact, there was what was an aid that was on section 106. Can I give NGO or whatever it calls when it was on investigation 2021 and 2020, then therefore I'm also continuing to give the same on 2021 or 2022. Are you hearing me? My NPO was on the section 106, 2020. Now 2021, it's receiving money again while we were busy investigate this company. Are you hearing me?
We are you, Chair, we're just looking around as to who's gonna answer you, so we nominate Mr. Krantz.
Because I was on impact previously.
Yeah.
And now.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Krantz.
Sorry, Mr. Crouch, sorry, Brad. I would love to remind ourselves.
It seems like you guys did have a discussion. I can see all
Sorry, Alda.
eyes that are looking at me.
Sorry, Alda lady. Let me remind ourselves as we're sitting here that some of the things, they still will look as if we didn't work on them, because it's still the things that were not in the council when they happen. Remember, we're dealing with things that are still coming from 2016 up to 2021. We're still handling 2021. Maybe last year when we're handling, it was 2020, 2021. So the recurrence was happening. Till MPAC was there, till section 106 was there to stop these things. So we'll still get the same thing. But hence my question was, not undermining yours, Alda, my question was, did we do something? Did we put systems in place when we interrogated these things and they crop up from MPAC to ensure that in 2022, 2023 annual report, we don't get these things, because we will forever get these ones, because it is still the same things that we didn't have, some on it. But still, do we continue to pay the same organization that was investigated or was part of the things to be investigated from 2016 up to 2021? Still at 2022, are we funding the same organization?
I think, Chair, let me say, at least this time, of our new directors and the CFO and the MM, we are doing well.
Okay.
The previous HODs and the chairperson of the impact was trying all her best to bring all the issues now currently we are dealing. And unfortunately, she was blocked. I remember Loliwe was sitting there asking a lot of questions to him. You understand? So now we are sitting now with the previous things that have been blocked, but we are moving forward.
Yeah.
You understand? That's whereby now you're asking the question that you asked. Because the former was blocking all the movement of the impact. But now we are sitting now with the hard work of Councillor Kamka. And now you're doing very well where we are now. But there are certain questions now we need to ask ourselves why. But unfortunately, most of them are gone.
Okay.
Mr. Kraft,
Over to you.
Okay, but unfair to Mr. Lotter to ask him to explain. I think he left just before all the rot started and the mid-event came.
yes,
It is a grant, they were always a grant in aid policy. The grant in aid policy tells you exactly who qualifies for grant in aid, what the purpose is for, how you may use the funds. It has two sections. It says there's two screening provisions in the grant in aid. You just don't rock up someone at the council or at the buildings here, get a form, fill it in, and then go. The screening processes. And the devil in the detail is the fact that this comes out of this discretionary fund that was always given to mayors. So in this instance, it's the mayor that must decide, or his office say, look, we're giving these funds to these organizations. Now you can either use it or you can apply the policy properly and make sure you don't overextend or don't repeat the same, grants to the same organizations on a yearly basis. Do it properly and you distribute the money fairly, or you can do it for your own political ends and needs. And that is what happened. That is why I stopped it. I stopped the payments when I was here. I said, you guys are not complying. Most of the NPOs were never NPOs. They should never have gotten the money. And then somebody goes and they change how the money should be allocated. They were suspended. They walked me out of here. They said, how can you, under my name, I approved it at first. I said, okay, guys, if these people comply, then we can go ahead. When they did not comply, I stopped the payment. I said, no, it's not going to happen. Please remove my authorization. They even, besides paying the people, they even changed the amount, giving people more money. That is what happened. And that is why that thing ended up as a 106. That's how the 106 started. Because I went to the MEC and I told the MEC, you've got to intervene. You've got to do something about this. That is where everything started. So when I return now, I'm involved in the disciplinary matter and I can see how the policy was diluted. The policy is now, even the agreement that we entered into, I think it was a 10 or 15 page document. It's now 2-page, 5-paragraph document. Sure. And all that the person who does the transfers do, he says, no, the MM signed off on it. No, where's the council resolution? Where's the report to council? How do council conduct their oversight? It's not reported to council. Somebody sits somewhere and tells an organization like Plettenberg, you start a care fund, then if people come to us for granting aid, but we cannot transfer the money from the municipality to you, we will transfer the money to the care fund and tell you to give it to that person. That is happening, and it's still happening. So we have to, the policy is there, we haven't changed. We're just not applying. And they circumvented the policy for their own political needs. And I'm telling you, if the investigation shows that money must be recovered, it won't be recovered. Whoever signed those things, we will have to hold them accountable. You can't just take municipal funds, hand it over to a third party, tell that third party, please give it to Councillor Kawapi or NPO. You can't do that.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus.
So that's where we are.
I couldn't sleep when I always read the findings of Auditor General, where it says, under the subheading internal control deficiencies.
Seriously.
Point 40 on that says, council did not appropriately perform their oversight role to approve the annual budget, which resulted in unauthorized expenditure incurred. Fine. This has told me that a council has a responsibility to oversee things and it must perform oversight. Us also as MPAC, we've got the responsibility to perform the oversight. Beyond the council mandate, us also MPAC, we've got a mandate. So as us as these councillors are supposed to be, we're having a double mandate of ensuring the oversight. We start from the council, then when the council feels it directs it to us again, we go and do a second again mandate. So in a way, we've got a parallel mandate to do as the councillors at MPAC. What Mr. Klaus today is saying, it will be unfair for to say there were nothing to an appropriate thing to manage these things of the granting aid. There were systems in place. And I would love, appeal to you to give us a report, just a friendly report. You know, I did come to you. I say, can you give us a report of the things that as an administration you have already done, referring to the previous MPAC who was sitting here and alternating. Again, the granting aid comes out. Hence, I was saying, let's caution ourselves. It's still that same thing. Yeah, because we are still dealing with the same years. Yeah, but it worries, it frustrates when you get to. And you know that this makes noise across Plet. The thing of this and the cards of the politician, those things, the people are getting a chance of making a noise and bring that the municipality is corrupt. These are the two elements normally. All things that are done by politicians, it always the thing that brings up people making noise about. So as us being the overseers of these things, what Mr. Klaus says, there was a 15-page kind of a thingy that was there. I wish we can bring that here. We got it. Then he said to us, there's a 2-page, when you go back and again, there was an altered kind of an agreement or a policy that was there. It was only altered into 2. It was minimized into 2 pages. That must come here. We can see it and say this is the case. Then we can, after the take a recommendation where it says, no man, there was a system before. So let's caution, if it has to go back to the council and say, when it comes to the granting aid thing, please let the council again go and consider the resolution that was there before. Can we go back to that same managing system that we had? And if we need add on and say, one organization should not be funded more than 2 times. Yeah, more than 2 times, because really brings off, people are being offended to know that one organization is always given, and big funds. Whereas we know of organizations here, they've been carrying the issue of assisting in the social arena, but they've never even get nothing. So we need to practice the fairness when it comes to granting aid, you know? And if it's so, I would even say even the deputy, they are supposed to have a grant for that matter. So that things should not be up. If it gets the opportunity of being abused, we should not open an opportunity that only a certain people are being attended, whereas because most we know they are not coming from. In this case, a coalition is here to stay. People are not coming in from the same organization and same constituency of people that are having the same needs. You see my point? Those things we could also look at it and at some stage, one of my constituency people, they were just engaging with me 2 days ago where they say, oh gosh, I wish this not, so we should not say that there is 100,000 that is given to pause the animal organization. To people, our culture, we've got cultural differences and we perceive things in a different way, Mr. Fulton. For you, a dog and a cat could be very important. Yep. And it's a baby. To us, to me, my dog sleeps there outside. give him a dish and whatever. Maybe I take him once to go to be washed. But in other people, you know, those things are
I'm
important.
going to send the box to your house.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, imagine,
I'm telling you.
so imagine.
You are public, Sissy.
What I'm just saying is that the different cultures, we can't run away from those things. It's a different culture, whether it is regulated or whatever, we perceive these things in a different way. Look in other places, someone will say, I want money to go to electricity, to Hymas home and to potholes. Someone will say, Jonah, let money come to me in a food parcel. To me, it's important to eat than the pothole because I don't even have a car. And I'm boarding a taxi and the taxis are riding in those potholes. You will always find that there comes a fight of cultural differences and the have and the have-nots. To me, it will be important a pothole to be fixed. To somebody else, what is a pothole? I don't have a car, I don't even bother. I will never even have a car. So rather, instead of fixing a pothole, to me, fix. Hence, the IDPK will always bring different cultural things. So what I'm saying, if a granted aid will stick in one place where people will say they will make a noise with the pause of 80,000 or 180,000 that was given to, even in waste for that matter. If we say we'll find an organization that manages waste here in the town, whereas other people, they've got soup kitchens to give to make sure that people are eating, it will be a noise that the one of his kitchen didn't get, but we gave those that are keeping the place clean. The people, they start to spin things in those cultural differences and cultural needs and household needs. So at some stage, we need really to look so deep into the granted aid. We know people are considered to be given with the respect of the mayor, but at the same time, it is on us, the oversight, to see, have things been considered? All facts, you know, we've got a mixed generation and mixed culture. We need to consider it. Thank you.
The last one before you get in CFO. I hear what you are saying to Mr. Crow, but Ellen mustn't bring the stuff that we write off. Okay. You must remember, we did check.
Yes.
I don't want him to dig all stuff from the granted aid, whatever that was written off.
Yes.
When I said no. There's another other one that you are saying that the deputy, whatever, supposed to get the granted aid. I'm going to make an example in the government. The mayor of got the granted aid. He gave the deputy, he's giving the speaker, he's giving his MACO members.
Yes.
Okay. That's how it's supposed to be.
That's what I'm telling you guys, what we are doing in the garden. But it doesn't mean that as a MACO, I must get 300,000.
Yes.
20,000 is enough for the small thinking like tools, whereby there are people that they are really in need for 2,000 rand instead of 500,000 rand. And the mayor is dealing with the big amount of this. If maybe those one are looking for 100,000 or 150, that the mayor's issue. And then the deputy, the speaker, and whoever is dealing with the 2 rand or 5 rand. That's what we are doing in the country. Okay. So we are superstar.
Okay. It is also an advice. Let me come to this one. By you giving us just a synopsis that there was a system that was in place, but it was taken off. It's not for you to go and take us, those people did benefit or whatever. It's only to say, no, there was a system in place. It was altered to this. Let's evaluate, was it right? Or should we stick to the 2-page, or should we go back to the 15-document page? Have all things been covered, considering us, so that we play our role of knowing that these things should not all the time come as a bad reflection. You know, we need to work on it and ensure that we do it right. And thank you also, Alda, for giving us an example, so that even us here, we should look at things that we should not just bring, what can I say?
But we mustn't abuse that money that is going to be.
We should not open a space of bringing be an ungovernable municipality just for just being considerate with small things. Because these things can open up, one day we see ourselves that our council is no longer, it's shaken. We should not open up things that can shake unnecessarily, whilst we can act wise and be proactive into things. Because things are changing, we're supposed to be relevant. We're in a coalition council now. We are no longer in one man takes it all. Maybe some of the systems we had were for one man take it all. We never considered this thing, but things are changing. So we need to be proactive as this council and be relevant and copy some other things from other places. That if these things makes for a council to be stable, people to be, to be stable. The main thing is for us to have a stable council. That's the advice that I could say. Otherwise, thank you for that to give us a little bit to know that all these lead
And
offices, thank
you
you.
are not allowed. I receive funds from the garden aid in the municipality. And I think I'm going to go to the garden route. And you're not allowed to do that. You must only, that's what our policy says in the garden route. Because I'm in the garden route and I'm helping someone here in Bitou that also receives something from another municipality. So we are not allowed to do that. So you can't, because you are staying here in the garden route, you're going to change from Bitou to Hesikwa or from Bitou to the garden route, because most of the garden route was looking from George, Niza, and then because two councillors and the mayor is from Bitou, and people will think that they will go to Memory Poison as the mayor because it's coming from Bitou, and also come here to Bitou again. We need to look at that, Mr. Kraut.
It should be in our Kengoku, it should be in our policy also, so that people can know. Because even myself, before I became a councillor to know these things, I was thinking that you put something in your local municipality, you can also ask from the district. Official, that's another thing that we are learning, we're being educated about. We need to add on. Over to you, Mr. Lott.
Thank you, Chair. I think there is a policy that council approved on the 31st of October 2022, so there's a new policy. It covers all your concerns. It is just that in terms of this policy, also there's a process to be followed. The process involves granting a committee, Section 79 committees, it involves the MACO, it involves council to approve those grants.
Okay.
And also in terms of National Treasury, they have said that municipalities must refrain from general discretionary fund type of funds, where the mayor has a discretion to do something, give council money away. We all know there's a mayoral fund, and that fund consists of not municipal funds. It's grantors that give money to the mayor to distribute. That can cover something else, but even that has a policy attached. Administratively, we get inundated by requests for funding. And the absence of a policy creates a lot of problems for the administration to make decisions. So when it comes to the policy a few months ago, and everyone must make sure that the policy covers adequately the operational deficiencies that there are, so that we have no doubt when we receive something against what to measure. And also you just say that these grants must already be in the requests for the next year. Because when we go to the draft budget, we know what to budget. And there's a consensus from council that we can pay whatever is requested to move there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Mr.
Councillor, I'm not sure, I've not read the new policy, but from when I came here way back when, I think 2014, what was part of the granting aid, not just what you call it, was type of forced reporting. In other words, you had to report if you as an NGO got money or a grantor got money, you need to report every quarter to the CFO to say that this is how you spend the money. And the end of the financial year, you had to give the final report with your annual financial statements in order to even qualify to get the next year. If you don't give that, you're not gonna get it. And I think that part seems to be been neglected, in the past 2 years, so.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
keep us here till 6 o'clock.
Okay.
But it is in the policy, Saki.
Okay.
It's 10, clause 10 of the policy, control, monitoring, reporting and recovering of grants. And then also on 8, it gives what we cannot fund. They say the following projects will not qualify for grant in aids: bursaries, disaster management and relief, donations of assets, public functions, conferences, seminars, awards, sponsorships, luncheons, dinners, parties, functions of any kind, sporting, entertainment, recreational, religious exhibitions. So there's a long list of things that you cannot get a grant in aid for, and then there's a list of things. It is this grant in aid policy that this council has adopted is focused on the 7 IDP priorities of this council. And those 7 priorities is what will be funded through the GIA. You would have noticed that there is an advert out now, Ellen, and it sets out the specific requirements, what you must have, and how the decision-making process is going to take place, how you are to report on what you have received. It actually says it has to report to the Section 79 committees, MACO and Council, on any grant that you have received. So those are the controls that are in place.
Yes.
So if you follow the policy, you won't have a Section 106.
Yes.
That's simple.
Amen. Again.
Yes.
So I think we've got it, and we make sure that we don't get this whole thing. Also considering maybe how we can do it forward and extra. Thank you on that one, that we've exhausted ourselves to it. I think now it's time for APAC. Any question before we go to APAC? We can take a 5 minutes break. It's 12 o'clock sharp. Just 5 minutes break. I hope we're going to. I hope so.
We'll be finished.
APAC, then it will just,
It's just an audit committee report.
yeah.
You were actually in the.
I was already in the APAC thing. Some of the things that we interrogated, they were already from Auditor General. So we'll just check what we have left over. Performance. Yes, it's only this from the item that after the APAC. Why don't we?
5 minutes break and then we'll come back. Victor needs to stretch his legs. He's a little, you know.
Today you best I know, man. He's on my case of finishing.
It's elder lady.
What's that?
We have to have lunch and come back, get the lunch outside and go. Like yesterday.
Take you out yesterday.
5%, yeah.
Take you out yesterday.
Just also consider.
Yes,
percent at that point in time. She also highlighted the traffic fines, where municipality, lost income due to the traffic fines, the contract not being in place. She also highlighted the overtime, and a concern, and that the creditors' payments was at 37 days, not at 30 days as regulated. Then performance management itself, she mentioned that the quarterly reports was submitted to MPAC by interpreted. The significant findings was that quarterly performance targets were not achieved, the inaccurate performance report, the performance was reported inaccurately, and insufficient supporting documentation. That was discussed in management should use the quarterly performance to monitor themselves on a quarterly basis. And also it was highlighted that repeat findings occurred, and the management is not implementing the recommendations made by it.
Before we can check anyone to say, let me own my fault of yesterday. My fault of yesterday, whilst even the APEC stated that the internal audit unit completed 100% of its planned audits for 2021-2022 by year end. But for me as a chairperson, I didn't give them a credit. It is so important when people, they can say 100% they've done their work. So yesterday I was not supposed only to honor the IT department. I was supposed also to mention them that, hey, Miss Pastor, they are working hard in their internal auditing. But let me say this one, the reason sometimes that internal audit, I would not put it as a part of departmental user departments, because I always take it that they are given a mandate to oversee and to check, just like PMC performance, audit committee, internal audit committee, risk committees, MPAC. I always align them with us that they're supposed to do those things, just like MPAC. So for me, when I'm doing MPAC, I always focus that in these 5 directorates, are we having 5, Kane? Directorates or 6?
5.
Finance, engineer, finance, and you? Yeah, it's 5. So I always focus in those 5 directorates, and so in that way, I'm owning my fault. I'm sorry, Mrs. But today I'm saying you guys, you are working very hard in your team.
Can I also please have a
We are not in those conferences. But as I'm saying that you did work well, and going forward, I was concerned about those internal audit significant findings. I wish we can improve Betuna as directors. Quarterly performance targets were not achieved. Let's make sure in our directorates we do that. Inaccurate performance reported, an inaccurate thing. It also makes that the restatement thing, isn't that so, sir? The restatement things that the Auditor General picked up, it's when the information is not given accurately.
Oh, ma'am, that is one of the reasons why I think the annual report got the big findings of material findings on the figures that was reported.
Okay.
The thing is, those figures were not accurate against the working papers that they got, or the evidence that they provided. Just a question of, I think people could not count. But was a major finding, and that's, I think, where we got a qualified audit on that one. But the fact is, it just relates to that as well. On the annual financial statements, the inaccurate performance would not have an influence, but inaccurate transacting will definitely have an.
Yeah. I was even worried yesterday when I pick up that households that are serviced are lesser recorded than the households of the other year. Because in other time it was 12,000 and some odd households that were recorded were electrified, were given the services of piping and everything. Whereas in this other report, we've got 11,800 and some odd. Sometimes we'll find how can it be less than what it's supposed as the year goes out, and we're saying Plet is growing every day, doubling, because it's a gateway between Western Cape and Eastern Cape. So sometimes it is those inaccurate information due to performance and everything, they led to these things. And they say it is significant. So for me, that was significant findings. We need to work on those things. And I believe that it's more OPCAs, they're supposed to look for those things. Everything relates to the user departments. They are feeding in to give us this kind of a report. Even if I can say this has not been done, but who are supposed to do it? Whatever it's here, it's a general findings that have been picked up, but all of those findings, they come exactly from the departments they're supposed to do their part. And it says it appears as if internal audits recommendations are not noted and implemented as the above findings have been raised time and time again without any positive results. And I don't know why I feel that I've got a positive vibes that next year we wouldn't get these kind of things again. With the directors that they say that we are always nailing. I don't find a reason why the others didn't put an effort to work on these things. But it's not nice for APAC to say these are issues that are always raised time and time again, but still positive results we are not getting them.
I think, Councillor, just to just also keep in mind.
It's not being defensive, Nick, when you're saying, let me keep in mind.
What I want to say is that AG only took one objective.
Oh, okay.
They only focused on one objective. They didn't focus on everything. So they found one problem in. So they did not look at the rest to see how correct is that. Now, if you, from my perspective of figures, they only tested 20%. That might, and then they said, but based on this 20% we took, you were 19% wrong. Now they say, okay, 19% wrong. We extrapolated over there. So your annual report is 95% wrong.
Thank you for that, Zach.
Which means it is you cannot rely on the information, which is not necessarily true. It's just because of their. Okay, it was on us to defend and say, but it's not. You cannot extrapolate because it's the one sort of problem or evidence, things like that. But the fact of the matter is, we're dealing with samples they are pulling, and that might sometimes be in your favor, sometimes not. Sometimes they catch you, sometimes they don't.
Thanks for that one. Look, it's exactly what is monitoring all about. You sample, you take one thing, and you don't even prepare. We make people to prepare because it's a norm that we must do our things right. As a result, I was saying to the team, next year, when we do auditing, in fact, the interest is this, I would love to engage with more the directors during the year, preparing for next year, so that every director could say, what were the findings that were found in in his or her department by Auditor General if there were some sampling. Even if his or her department was not sampled. But what are the things that she has learned from the other or learn from the Auditor General and make sure that these things should not happen? I must all the time as an end user department, I must fill in things well so that SCM should not fail because of me as an end user. And we will always see SCM being the last to be nailed down to be the worst in the audit report, because they are the most ones that they are being failed by end users departments. So we need to go and check ourselves that are we doing, even if that internal auditing that says that every time if findings are raised time and time again, they can't do that. Maybe the other year it was a certain part that was looked at and still those things were not done well. Again, maybe the other year, hence they say time and time, it's from APAC before even AG. So it means in the Bible, there's a saying that when Jesus comes back, he will come like a thief. We are expected every time to act accordingly with the integrity, whether we sleep or we eat or whatever, so that when he comes, he'll come like a thief in our lives. So should it be. Whenever I can call you in and say, Zach, can you explain to me what is that? You must be able to say, here is it, here's a proof of the material, this, the reason we did it, here's a deviation, we started with the deviation, it was approved before we spend, not spend it, take on, then after we rush for deviation. Last year, when Mr. Memani came in, he had to come and approve unauthorized things of close to 30 million. Of which the unauthorized, some finances needs to be approved in the council before even spending take place. But there were things that were spent without even coming here. So we need all the time to be on guard. We make sure that these kind of things, we should not get it. We should do things accordingly every time. We remind our project managers, our end users, this is the way of doing it. At some stage, we said, in roadshow, SCM needs to do a roadshow, Mr. Lothar, to all these end user departments and make sure that, please, this is the thing. If budget, if this was included in the IDP, the SDP, how far are you and whatever? Are you not supposed our contract now to end? Can you prepare 9 months before it ends or 6 months before it ends? In contract management, we can't have all the time have same kind of things of contract management. But all of us, we knew from the IDP that this kind of a project is supposed to be done. We're supposed not to have monies that are coming back and every time we play, SCM takes time to do this and whatever, as if we sleep and wake up and just say, can you do that? And it take these whole things us by surprise. We can't be in that situation.
Sorry, there's something that almost like a recommendation that I would like to make is, for instance, with this internal audit recommendations, findings, I believe it should be treated the same way as the OPCA of audit, the internal, the external auditors. That the internal auditors generate a clean or audit action plans.
Yes.
That the directors agree with in order to, and then the directors run with those like mini projects to make sure that those findings are cleared. Same as we do with the OPCA.
Okay.
To get our ducks in a row for the next audit.
So OPCA is more in that department of Olinet?
No, OPCA is in my department.
Okay.
It's only focusing on external audit. Of course, the OPCA is, that's what it is, the clean audit report.
The operational audit.
Internal audit, yeah. It's not the internal, it's not focusing on the internal at all.
Well, it's you guys, you need to sit down and you suggest each other and you work as a team and say, can we do it this way so that it can work well this way? it is up to you. The administrative things, whether we can try to bring wisdom, but it all lies solely to you guys. You know, at some stage last year, we had a contestation from the directors about their performances. Sorry, Mr. Friedman, sorry, who else was involved to that? We had some objections. We had some directors that were not happy the way the performance that was fed in, their KPIs, their, you know, the system, Ignite system and everything else. Still, those things are not nice to get that same kind of a thing. Where the others are saying this, there was even a saying that says, the other scores were right in, but the other person didn't fit it in. But according to the other lady, it was up to this stage, but again, that one not in. It was not something nice to get those kind of things. Because at the end of the day, when people are not reimbursed according to what they've looked at for, it means there's a problem. And this is a built-in to that inaccurate performance report, because that is also performance. So there's an inaccurate performance reported, of which that comes from significant findings of APAC. It says we need to ensure that we're doing our things accordingly. We value each other KPIs. We look at that, have you done this? How are you making mistake? Your KPI or your thing that you must do, it affects me at SCM. If engineer, you don't bring your project quickly, me as SCM, you are failing me. Me at IDP, you are failing me to give report. At STP, you are doing, you know, all those things, we need to work as a team, guys. Whether how we say it, but it all lie to you as directors. You've got systems, PMS are there, internal audits are there, you know, risk, whatever. We are here also to assist in the oversight, to ensure that you work as a team so that we can have a good thing in front of us. Mr. Lotter?
Thank you, Chair. Just on that, I think I just need to highlight the context of that finding that was material on performance by the AG.
Yes.
Spoken to by internal audit is it was about counting, and Saki said people can't count. It's about the system counting connections instead of customers. The issue went around the number of services for water. Now, if the computer looks at the number of account centers, now we count the number of accounts, but that doesn't reflect the number of services, because when we render a bulk account to a place like Santini, Seconds Village, then we count one account, but behind that one account is 150 users.
Okay.
That's where the error came in.
Okay.
All these bulk accounts was counted as one instead of the number of customers.
Customers that are there.
So when the finance department had corrected some as well as they could during the audit, but then the auditors re-looked at it and they found more errors.
Okay.
So that is why that finding could not go away, because there were subsequent findings on it.
Okay.
That is the one thing that is important to note, how they got to that one.
Okay.
So that one finding caused us to don't have a clean fleet performance. No, but there are other issues we need to look at, and it's not only the miscounting of the number, it is the system description in the performance management system to make sure that what is written in there refers to the right portfolio of evidence.
Yes.
So we need to re-look at that. Then it was also highlighted now by APAC about the creditors' payment days being 37.
Yeah, instead of 30.
But this is absolute. I argue with the auditors every year on this. It is an absolute formula-based calculation. It takes your total number or your total amount of outstanding creditors at year end and divided by the total of payments through the year, and they get to what's outstanding through a formula, which is not a true reflection. If we accrue the ESCOM account, so the ESCOM account is a huge account for that month, and it is 24 million. it is only due to be paid on the 15th of July. So we carry it as a creditor in June. Then we're at 37%. Had we paid that account earlier,
Okay,
in June, the 37 would go down to 25.
good.
But we don't want to pay it earlier because it is a lot of money.
And it brings
And rather
interest.
than interest on that, instead of giving it to Eskom to earn.
Sure.
So that is where the creditors' days make a difference
Okay,
on whether you are paying it earlier or later, and it could also be only one account. So I always have an argument with the auditors, because if you look at the creditors' age analysis, you will find that they are not outstanding creditors longer than 30 days.
okay. Well, thank you to.
That's the context of it.
Okay, so as Uzek was saying, it could be one department or one thing that it makes the whole thing goes, or that percent I was asking about, that you can't put a percentage in an unqualified or whatever. It could be 99%, you've done everything right. It could be one thing that says you are unqualified with a finding instead of becoming a clean audit with findings. Okay, in financial reporting, according to auditor, you did, I think we did deal with debtors collection in his finding, the poor collection, of which by putting a system of now of a tender, we are also dealing with that. They were addressing that. In traffic fines, at APAC, the TMT thing, it came up. It was brought in late, the contract of it, and still there's an argument. The payment in the ticket, firstly, they were collecting 55 rand per ticket, whatever amount, 55 rand. Now I think it's 171 rand or what. But at APEC, something came out about TMT I was listening to, and also again, it comes out that there's an underperformance at traffic fines. But I think since yesterday, I think Melanie brought something that says you are working to a system that ensures that you can't even pay for your car if you owe traffic. So should we also take that as a system that improving the traffic fines thinking?
It's been there for, it's an old system, it's the latest. So it pops up that you owe.
So it's only we should make sure that it gives benefits instead of us getting this, that it says that there's a significant underperformance as far as traffic fines.
It's the collection.
It's the collection that's saying.
It's the collection and not necessarily through the natives. It was the contractor, some issues there with the collection.
The contractor say it out?
No, there was a delay in the appointment
Of the delay.
the service provider. It has caused some under collections. And I know there are some other issues that Saki and I have spoken about.
And even that, are we not having a right to see contract of TMT, how the tender was made and everything else, so that even for us, we become comfortable with it? Is it our right to get tenders we see and screen the contracts, how were they done as the MPAC?
I
never right to.
What your TOR says, Chairperson, I'm not sure what your terms of reference says. Because your terms of reference will determine what you are allowed to get in. Because at present, it's only for the irregular expenditure and what we're doing now. If the etc., then council refers to you.
Okay. We'll check that. What can we go as far as how can we go when we talk about the overseeing?
I think, if that kind of, I'm not sure, but I don't think in terms of impact you are allowed to get that, but the APEC is allowed to request it.
Okay.
Because it's part of
of their internal audit.
Audit part. Just another reference that I wanted to make was In terms of the business itself, the traffic, we call it traffic, people that like TMT. They are normally rate-based. They get paid a certain amount for a fine that is closed, whether they receive money for it, not. And I'm of the view, besides the point that the market is not like that, I'm of the view that the same as you will go with your debtors, you should make it
Performance.
In other words, there's no, if they perform and get in the money, they will get paid well. But if they don't do anything, they're not going to get paid. So in this regard, the same will apply. Or currently, if whether they bring in money or not, if they close the fines, they will get paid for that. So if a fine is written off, they will get paid for it. So, but
When is the contract ending?
That's a new contract.
only 3 years time.
So it means for 3 years, we will sit and pay only for 3 years remaining. So we'll still continue to pay for a business closed, whether it brings money or not,
No,
because this is the type of contract that they were given.
no, not a new contract.
Okay.
I think, Chair, we should understand that there's a lot has happened since this audit report.
Okay.
So there's a new contract in place. We will not pay for something that is not collected.
Good.
There's a minimum tariff that you pay for a fine. It was always in the past, probably 4 or 5 years ago, it was on a commission basis on a percentage. And then there was an instruction from the Director of Public Prosecutions that we may not do this because it starts to be a money-making racket where people are getting commission on the number of fines issued. And then there was an instruction that municipalities may not pay a commission. So it must be on a fixed rate basis.
Okay.
That's why we are paying the fixed rate, and we are only paying for successful prosecutions. The money is received. We don't pay for fines that's closed. That's been
So we
It's always a low collection.
yeah.
Look at the sheer bulk of the transactions. It is literally thousands of them on following. There is no court in this country that has the capacity to handle that in the volume that we are writing out. So we are really relying on the goodwill of people to pay the fines. And then, of course, we make a special effort for the high value fines that we do follow processes. Because the process to collect small fines is just too costly. So it is that, plus there's another thing that we need to take into account, and that is if Director Calvin pays his fines, then we would really increase the revenue by 40%. And Director 3%. No direct fees.
So we are addressing the traffic fines, this system in place. In overtime, it says it remains a concern and little progress. What are we on now? What systems are we putting to improve money spent on overtime?
The first 45, so if someone says, yeah, we're spending too much money on overtime, surely it's got to be, evidence-based. I can say, pull something out of the sky and say something. We all can do that. But just to say we're spending too much money on overtime, and no one does the study, are we spending too much overtime? And if we are, then someone's got to give a motivation, but a reason why they're saying we're spending too much overtime. You cannot take a guess and say, oh, I think we're spending too much on overtime. Madam Chair, this is what people do. They just all of a sudden say you're using too much water. Or you've got too many cars, but it's very subjective. Time, great to say, oh, we spend too much overtime, but what you basing it on? What exactly are we basing it on?
I wouldn't know, I'm reading this whole thing.
You come and you say we spend too much. Is it something that you've done a calculation, scientific calculation, mathematical? We cannot just say spend too much overtime because we think we spend.
I got a get from Mr. Felton, from what sometimes you can hear, people of certain departments are forcing to have overtime. They demand it because it's something that substitute and escalate their salaries to be on top. And you find that it is a norm, just a person, no, I'm getting into overtime. Was there a reason for them to get into overtime? Or they are creating, they think that they are obligated to have it. The people from West, they always demand the overtime. And it could be that people are lacking to work during their confined hours that they're supposed to work and lack so that they can spill over to 2 hours of overtime or 3 hours so that they can build up their salaries at the end of it. It's supposed to be something that should be come as a surprise to people not to know that I must be on overtime. I must get it. This I know, I'm saying, at some stage, the manager of that waste was almost under fire. People wanted to kill him, when he was starting to managing the thing of, no, there's no overtime, you should work and whatever. So you'll find that other people are very corrupted. I'm sorry to say corrupt. They are in need of it. They immediately plan it in advance. That will make it, and they can sabotage operations in order they can flow over to overtime.
So all I'm saying is, we must be careful how we paint everyone with the same brush.
That's the thing.
You said, you're quite correct, there's some people that do take advantage of, but it's not everyone. Unfortunately, when you say we're abusing overtime, those people that really work hard after hours, not what they want to, because they want to spend time with the family. It's not everyone. So it's just that how we generalize stuff. Not everyone is the same. Everyone's got raised differently or different characters, but there are people out there that work hard, put the effort in, and still after hours work harder, and then they get told the opportunity you're abusing them.
You know, Mr. Felton, okay. You know,
To say something.
okay.
Seems you're on the floor.
Okay, you know, okay.
What you are saying now about overtime, that was a challenge that we have before. And I think we dealt with the challenge of overtime in the council. At the moment, we are improving there. Because there were people before the new HODs currently we have, they were abusing the overtime because of the previous HOD, taking advantage because the bar is not in charge. But it has been changed currently. I believe even also on the waste, on the community service. In December, a permanent staff like Friday or Sunday, or maybe public holidays, Douglas was doing very well. Instead of wasting money for overtime, he was using EPWP. And then he explained to the EPWP that you are not going to get overtime, but we will give you an extra time. Those EPWP were very happy. You can see we didn't have a problem if maybe people are complaining, here that corner is dirty, next to the taxi rank is dirty, because they know that they are in need of the job and they will do whatever the manager is saying to them. The permanent staff also understand that, some of them, that they're not going to get the overtime because there are certain people we are really in need for the overtime, whereby they are really need to be paid, not to be abused. Because sometimes we do have call, even our community. I would say the electricity is blocked. They can't find the electricity. They went to buy the electricity by 10 o'clock PM. They don't have an electricity. Whose fault is that? It's the municipality. What are we going to do? Overtime. Because those guys, they want to have an electricity. So are we going to say now we are spending more money for overtime while there is a service delivery? No. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, that it was abused, but currently now at least Chair, we are really, really improving on that. I don't want to talk about in behalf of you, because at least I've got also communicate with some of the department, and then what I'm hearing also even in our portfolio councillors, portfolio meetings, what are we doing? Even in council, we did have that item. Then we were all happy that we are seeing that at least there are improvement. Maybe this item was before and now it's sitting with us now.
It's fine, let's give director also to take us through and say, how is she working to improve? Because exactly that was the department that it was more targeted to ensure that that department and also engineering, because we find others, they will just go and say they are doing a job and go and wander away with the car. Maybe there was no tracking system. Is there a tracking system in our cars where we can track and manage the time spent versus the time job and the job? We need just to know which systems are used.
Chair, firstly, it's very difficult, and that's why I raised my hand with regards to overtime. I just wanted to give you an example. Last night, the waste guys worked till 10:30 during load shedding. Reason, we only had 2 trucks.
Yes.
Now, I can do all I want, but the service needs to be delivered. And if the service is not delivered, I was on the phone till 9 o'clock with the various wards asking us to take the bins in, the ward councillors, what must we do? We're going to have the same challenge today. We only have 2 trucks that are running. Now, even though we have reduced the overtime in January, February, when the reports come again on the overtime expenditure, it shows how high it is, not taking into account that for a week or 2 weeks, we had 2 trucks and we were forced to work till 10:30 at night. We were forced to work until Saturday. So it is a combination of things that we need to correct. It is an issue of revenue enhancement. It is an issue of waste minimization. It is an issue with fleet and getting our contracts right, to be able to hire in if we have issues like we're having now. And Director Felton's fleet management and waste management have already set with working on that spec.
Yeah, so the spec is actually, if you only got 2 trucks, then what the tender document is going to allow for, and the contract's going to, when the contract's awarded, that you can go to a service provider and say we need an additional truck to create that. But we don't have that. And that's why the overtime is so high.
It's always so high.
The fact that the trucks are going to get damaged is going to happen. And we're it's going to go to workshop here or go to workshop indoor. And there's not going to be enough trucks on the road. But the tender document will sort that out where we can actually get a service provider to give us an additional contract.
Yeah, that will cut the, and that is why I said those are some of the things that
we need to consider.
Just on Saturdays, for example, I've asked Waste yesterday, we are open till 1 o'clock. How many people do we actually get through the door on a Saturday? How much are we generating in terms of revenue? And does the staff that they have there on a Saturday, are they really necessary? And those are the things that we are trying to do to cut back on the overtime expenditure in the new financial year. Getting in the trucks is going to assist us because that's one of our main challenges when they have to work overtime. And staffing was an issue, but that has been addressed. So if all of those measures are in place, then we will start to win this. And I won't say it's a fight. It is just operations that will be more efficient and effective if we can get all of those things right.
From our side, Chair, just quickly with this load shedding, our staff are working longer after hours to get our substations back up and running. Some of the switches are failing us. Now they're going out even more often with the extreme load shedding we've got and the occurrence of that long duration. And it's not going to only affect the overtime. The overtime is going to increase dramatically because of that. You need to take note of this. And then the diesel consumption.
Yes.
The fuel cost is going to increase. Load shedding has impact on those things.
No, I think it gives us the confidence to know that Overtime will always be there, but as long it is managed and it can be substantiated well, that what were the reasons, this and everything like that. Unlike people, they think that they are obligated. I must have overtime. I must work on weekend. Why? What is like that? And you could see that the overtime becomes more than even than a salary itself. When does this person get a rest? So at least that's better. Over to you, Greg. And I think we're winding.
Just on the side of fuel cost that Mr. Felton is talking about, we will just subsidize a little bit of that money from the bulk purchases because the ESCOM accounts will be less now because of the load shedding. So we will allocate some of the budget there.
To the diesel.
Because we will be using less electricity, because in load shedding, less, because we don't use it on our own.
Yes. I don't want to.
So you're balancing things, so you're saying that things will be balanced. Okay.
No.
Things will be balanced or what?
Their accounting is different to mine. Mine's a good accounting, there's a Chinese accounting.
Okay.
Not better, they inspire better.
Okay.
Not to put their foot.
Okay.
Members struggle.
As per the revised budget that was tabled, even bulk purchases were totally under budget, we were ahead in the budget. There's really no money that we can reallocate that way.
Okay.
So looking at the latest fuel price increase, it's just going to become more and more normal.
Yeah.
Yes, so let's not dwell on the
Okay.
rabbit hole of that one.
Okay, so it's okay here for us as long we get confidence that we're minimizing the findings, especially negative. We're trying to minimize. We're here for that, to assist each other and to check spots. Where can we tighten our spots, our loose barricades, so that we can ensure that we work well, so that we can have this consistent type of audit report that doesn't put us on a bad side. So we're here for that. Sagi, I think I see you are raising.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add to not to the fuel cost. It's just that when it comes to overtime, we just need to ensure, and especially supervise the one that's approving the overtime or looking and seeing that people would, is that we what do you call it, the basis of that overtime should run hand in hand with a call that is logged at
Customer service, customer care.
yes, so that you can, that will be your evidence why.
So evidence why we heard that. Hey, that's what.
I'm not finding me. I'm not finding me directly against this. You can have to go to the call center, I'm just saying.
Me too, please.
Hi, boss.
You can do an audit at the end of the day.
So I didn't know that it will come back like this. The other thing, please, let's also make sure that as we acknowledge people are working hard in their overtime, using their times they would have spent with their families. When it comes to paying, people have to toy. That is not nice. It is a common thing that every time people have to toy and say, we want our overtime. It should not be like that. If we recognize that they were supposed to be on overtime, we need also to do our part as administrators to ensure that they are being paid. As I'm saying, it is so essential to them, this whole thing, to be able or to offer themselves for the service because they know they're supposed to be paid in order they make their lives better. So it should be, if it's gonna lag, the communication must go before. They must know that your overtime of this month, it might happen on the 15th or it will be in your salary of next month. Be patient with us, we're still balancing. Your things came late and whatever. Us also on our side as administrators, let's make it well for them to feel good that they did give us an extra time of their work so they need to be reimbursed. Just on a lighter note on that. There should be minimal of the toys. Even I think 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I suspected that the way people were standing at the landfill site, they were starting to show that we want our overtime. And every time you go there, if people are standing like this, you know that yeah, something is coming. It's an overtime. You could see Fundiswa Wamdak trying to explain, would you want this? We should not allow and let our people to be in that situation. On a lighter note, not on a difficult note.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know where it comes from?
Yes.
Come from the director. Comes from the manager, and at the end of the day, you sit with this problem with the director.
Yeah.
So it means that the supervisor must do their work.
Yes.
The management must do their work, so that we can't land up with a toy.
Sure. Management and evaluation is always lies with the directors, the monitoring. Did you have overtime? Where are the things to facilitate overtime? Everything, the buck stops still with the managers, with the directors, people.
Record.
It is on record, definitely. Everything still, the buck stops with you. We can't call the supervisors and managers and let them stand and say, why is this? The buck stops with the directorate, with its managing and overseeing and implementation. I think we've come this far. Anyone to say anything before we close? General comment? Isaac? We are on general point. Look.
The fact is,
He just
But general, we need to acknowledge you, general. Whatever you say under general.
the fact is just that with overtime, the general rule is that the MN must sign it off before it is worked.
Okay.
Now,
But the delegation says the director.
So I can delegate if there's a problem. Let's say when will MM sign?
must be
There's plenty,
That's a planned overtime, but if,
you're not allocating it right, because in terms of in school, it's not, it's unpaid.
you know, discuss.
okay, go and fix that one, go and rectify that one, guys. Any general comment before we close?
Recommendations.
Okay, oh gosh, recommendations. So yeah, your chapters, thank you. Before we close, then, after we've read everything, our recommendations then that we are agreeing on, we're supposed to agree on that. The council, after fully considering the annual report of Bitou Municipality and representation thereon, adopt the oversight report and annual report of 2021/2022 financial year without reservation. Especially that we've heard so many reasons why we've got unqualified with findings. The accounting officer, in accordance with section 21, bullet A of the Municipal Systems Act, Act 32 of 2000, make the oversight report public within 7 days of its adoption by council. We also recommend that the accounting officer submits the oversight report to the provincial legislature within 7 days after it has been adopted by council. We further recommend that the accounting officer develops an action plan to address all issues raised by the Auditor General, indicating clearly the corrective actions and timeframes. We further recommend to the council that the progress report of the action mentioned in bullet 4 above be submitted to council and municipal public accounts quarterly. We further recommend that council takes note of the responses from the public and they must respond within 14 days as per the legislation. These are the recommendations. Do we agree on our recommendations?
Yes, we agree. I can also hear.
These are our recommendations when we go and take this draft to them so that they can acknowledge it and approve it. We don't have any reservations any further because we interrogated them. So as we are saying, thank you guys for the I was like, what's just to talk today? lights.
See,